Okay, so I'm going to talk you through really quickly how to record this video. So here are the items that you're going to need. Number one is you're going to need a device to record from. Rather than trying to find the best quality device, maybe think about the one that you're used to using if you record videos. If you're not used to recording videos, then of course, use whatever you want, but use what's familiar to you so it will be comfortable. The next thing you're going to need is your music. So that means your sheet music, something to look at, to reference, since I don't expect you to have this memorized. The third thing that you will need is something to play your music on that you can listen to through headphones. So it's really important that your music not play out loud into the room, but that it just plays so that only you can hear it. This is because we only want to hear your voice. We don't want to hear the other music. I'm going to have that on a separate track so that we'll all be together. So once you have those things, that's really all you need to do. I do suggest before you record, so if you're about to record and you're like ready to hit that record button, hang on just a second. Instead, why don't you practice? So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to practice turning my music on, going to the page, and singing through. Now, there's two reasons why I want you to practice. One is to make sure you feel really comfortable. If you make mistakes, it's okay. I can, silence you for a minute if it's very noticeable, or, it'll be fine. If you make a lot of mistakes and you don't feel good about it, you can record it again, but you can go ahead and practice it and maybe see where those places are. And also you'll get kind of used to how it feels to be singing with music in your ears and singing out loud. If you've ever recorded something in a recording studio, that's pretty much what it feels like all the time. So you may be more used to that, but if you're just used to singing in a group, it can be a little disconcerting. So go ahead and do yourself a favor. Practice singing through it a couple of times, just to make sure you feel comfortable with this format. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So you're not going to be able to hear the music. You're just going to hear me singing along. So I'm going to hit play. Okay. Okay, so that was okay. It didn't sound exactly the way I wanted it to sound, but it was okay. So if I wanted to, I could try to record it a couple of times, but remember that these recordings need to be separate. You just need to send one file to me with you singing through the song one time. That would be easiest. I'm not going to piece together, your favorite hits. And please don't do that on your own. Even if you're technically savvy, please don't splice together, bits that you're doing. We're trying to keep this as simple as possible. So just send the best of what you think you've done. It may be a little disconcerting too, because you're used to hearing your voice in a group, and so everything kind of mellows out, everything's kind of balanced. You may feel that you're singing too loud. That's okay. It's more important that we hear you. So even though it says piano and forte, and you're going to have crescendo and decrescendo, do your best to do those things. But don't, say, oh, well, I really think I was too loud. And if you breathe in certain places, I know some of you, particularly Elise, is going to say, but you took a breath here. And you said we're not supposed to take a breath there. You're right. I said don't take a breath there, and I took a breath there. If it's noticeable, I'll cut the breath out. If you can sing the whole thing, that's great. Really what I want to do is to have a continuity of phrase so that you get from beginning to end and it doesn't sound like there's a big break in the middle. So if you can sneak in a breath, which most of you are probably used to doing, that's okay. Just understand that I'm trying to go for a whole phrase here. And so if there is an audible in there in the middle, then I'll just kind of scrub that out so that we don't have that audible breath. But breathe when you need to, because I would rather you sing out and make it through the end of the phrase than try to he-man your way through and then peter out and not finish the phrase. You'll see that I have arrows for a lot of places where I have a feeling that people are probably not going to hold it as long as they need to. And I also have it there because some of you like to hold notes extra long. And I figure if I make that as a note, okay, here's how far you need to hold it. Hopefully that will help with that. I also indicated places where I want us to breathe together. Don't worry too much about hissing S's and things like that. Again, if someone is too loud, I will be able to see because it'll show me how loud things are. And if I see a big spike on someone's recording where that S is, then I'll just cut that little bit out. So that's one of the good things. You can't do that as an director, but you can do that as an editor. I don't have coronavirus. I just had like something get caught. So anyway, yeah, and I even wrote in some cheat breaths on that really long, where it would be best for you to take a breath because you can kind of get a nice, if you take a breath there, it's going to be the best place to take one so that it doesn't interrupt the line. But most of these are just for you to know what I'm looking for. It doesn't mean that you have to follow it absolutely and be perfect. I'm not looking for perfection here at all. Also, you'll notice, I'm going to go ahead and show you here on this music. I'll zoom in a bit there. You'll see these lines above. I know this is backwards, but it's more important that you just see the line. This is at measure 12. And then there's another one right here. And that's just for emphasis. So, and it's really just for the moving parts. So if you have a part where you're holding a dotted half note or you have a half note, you don't have to emphasize that and then de-emphasize the next part. I mean, you probably would naturally, but it's really more for the moving the quarter note parts. So we have, for example, at number 12, measure 12. So I just kind of want that sort of phrasing where you emphasize that note and then back off a lot on the following note. That's just typical performance practice. If I were there actually directing you, I would be giving you that. We would talk about that in rehearsal. We can't really do that here, except that I can talk to you in this video. So I think that is everything. I didn't say specifically, but the P's for piano, the F's for forte, again, those are just guides. It doesn't mean that I want you to sing super soft so that no one can hear you. I know nobody wants to hear themselves sing, but someone needs to listen to the recording before you send it in. So if you're one of those people who doesn't like to hear yourself sing, hopefully you can find someone who can listen just specifically to make sure that your voice is audible. I do want to hear everyone's voice. It is important. So please do that. And forte just means like that's about as loud as we're gonna get. It's not really forte. We probably really wouldn't sing forte in that situation, but it's kind of easy to get a guide for that. And then obviously the slur marks that I was just talking about a few minutes ago. That is, ideally, you wouldn't breathe during that phrase, right? But again, if you breathe, it's okay. It's more important to me that you take a breath, but that you have a feeling of how long that phrase is and try to sing it as if you hadn't taken the breath. So come right back in where you left off and try not to make it too obvious that you took a breath. We're all choir singers. We know how to do that. But don't pick this apart and say, oh, you took a breath there. Well, yeah, of course I took a breath. I needed a breath. I'm sitting down. I don't have my chops up. I'm not singing like I was with you guys, and you guys probably are not either, and that's okay. It's still going to sound great. It's still going to be worshipful. I'm still really excited to work with you guys, even though it's in a different format. And don't get me wrong, this is not how I want to do things, all the time. But we're going to make some lemonade out of these lemons, and maybe even a lemon tart or something really tasty. So if this goes well, we may do this again. I mean, I don't know how long we're going to be in this situation, but I wanted to give us something easy that we could start with, see how it goes. If it's pretty easy to do and the second one's going to be easier than this first one, then yeah, we may do it again. If not, if it's, you know, full of angst and we really don't like it and we just want to sing together, that's okay. Also, if you're watching this and you're like, wow, this is way too complicated, I don't have 2 devices, I can't do any of this, go ahead and contact me anyway, and maybe we can chat a little bit about it, and hopefully I can alleviate some of your fears. But if the end you decide, this is not for me, that's okay. Obviously, I would love for all of us, every single person in choir to do it, but I'm not going to make anyone, especially if you really don't feel comfortable with it, and it's not going to make singing fun. This is not going to be, I don't think, for most people, is going to be as fun as singing in choir. This is not meant to be a replacement for choir. This is meant to, like I said, make some lemonade out of lemons. So hopefully we can at least do that, and then we'll be back together soon. So like I said, if you have any questions, please get in touch with me. Get in touch with me soon, because as I said in the email, I would really like to get this back from you by Thursday. If you start on it and you need a little extra time and you want to send it to me on like Friday morning, that would be great. And I know that's a lot of time, but I am going to need some time. I am still doing other things, and it's going to take a little bit of time to edit all of this together and make sure that it's ready in time for them to prepare, because we're doing the services ahead of time. So I have to get it to Drew in time for him to put it with everything else. And we already have services kind of like back to back to back. So the sooner you can get it back to me, the sooner I can get it edited, and the sooner I can get it to Drew so that he can add it in. Okay, well, I miss you guys, and I hope that you and your families are staying safe. And I think about you all the time, and I can't wait until we can see each other again. Bye.